climate envoy John Kerry telling oil workers, hey, go make some solar panels if they lose their jobs under President Biden's clean energy, Green New Deal policies. That man right there, he's got a thing to say about this. He is Mike Rowe. Mike, look, you know people who work with their hands. You know people who work outdoors, get dirty. You do a show about it. Do you think those workers can switch just like that to make solar panels or something, or program code?
Not just like that, but the most successful people I know in that particular world are people who have not only mastered a skill, but who have embraced the willingness to go to where the work is. And I don't say that to make excuses for John Kerry. I think what he said is kind of simplistic. And if I were in charge of his PR and messaging, I'd probably have a talk with that person. But the truth is, you've used this expression now twice in the show so far, the University of Hard Knocks. It applies everywhere today. And it's unfortunate, but a lot of people over the last 10 months have had to adapt or die. We've all had to pivot in virtually every industry. So from a foundation standpoint, the thing that I tried to focus on for the last 13 years is making sure people have a skill that's in demand and a willingness and ability to go to where the work is. I don't say that to sound glib or in any way dismissive of what's happening in this industry, because the truth is, Stuart, the thing that we miss all the time when we talk about this government official said that and now these workers are out of a job, it makes it a binary conversation. And the conversation I think we ought to be having involves the degree to which 330 million Americans are truly reliant on petroleum products and fossil fuels, not just at the pump. It's not just oil and natural gas or clean versus dirty. It's the yoga pants, right? It's the plastic on the keyboard that allows people to type their angry letters to me from time to time. Energy can't be the enemy. And fossil fuels, as I understand it, is one of the leading investors in alternative fuels. So we can't just separate two sides of the same coin and expect to come out on the other side. He called it a false narrative. Well, there are a lot of people in the country who also believe that the end of days in 12 years is another false narrative. So there are a lot of narratives being flown around. And in the end, Keystone, 11,000 guys out of a job. Happily, most of them are skilled and ought to be able to find work elsewhere. Because even if our government turns its back on fossil fuels, the country can't. No matter what we want, we can't do it.
Yep. Mike, you're very much a thinking guy. You've got original analysis. So why was your show returning the favor? A very successful show, as I understand. Why was it cancelled on Facebook? I also think of you as a fairly conservative guy. Did politics intrude here?
Obviously, I can't speak for Facebook. I have a great relationship with them. They gave me a platform. There's 6 million people on it, and they've allowed me to raise millions of dollars for my foundation. In fact, they've contributed to it, full disclosure. I don't think they canceled me. I think they canceled my show. I got fired. I've been fired before. I'll be fine. But I understand why, in this climate, a lot of fans of that show think something is awry. I talk a lot on Facebook and on shows like yours about work ethic. My foundation awards work ethic scholarships. I talk a lot about delayed gratification and attitude and personal responsibility. And I don't know when it happens, Stuart, but those words have become politicized. And when you use those words, you start to sound like a middle-aged, successful white guy screaming from his porch for the kids to get off the lawn. So when people look at that dynamic of me and they see a show like this, an Emmy award-winning show at the height of its popularity with a really engaged viewer base, they think something awry happened. Personally, I don't think so. I think my show got canceled, not me.